59 drivers who will roll to green for tonight's 138-lap race here tonight at Hickory.
Just looking back here, again, you see the Steve Stallings throwback, Justin Johnson, Toe Mater from the movie Cars.
How about that?
Hard to believe that's been 15, 16 years ago that movie franchise first came out. The Jack Ingram throwback, I don't think there's a person here that's not cheering for Layne Riggs in that car. Bubba Pollard towards the tail of the field, going to be moving forward. There's Zane Smith, the 49 of Brandon Pierce, the winning but not winning car of Bobby Allison in 1971.
Yeah, you want to get Bobby started on a story, ask him about that car. That'll still get him fired up.
Something about he won that race, but they didn't want to give him credit for that race. And something about him and Richard Petty, and they didn't like each other. You know.
He's an 83-time winner in NASCAR Cup
84.
Series. Well, if you ask him, he's 84 exactly, and that breaks a tie with Darrell Waltrip, who, that's when I've made the mistake of introducing Bobby Allison as an 83-time winner. And the very first 3 minutes of the interview go to the correction of my introduction, so now he's just Hall of Famer. And I love Bobby Allison, probably my childhood hero as far as a race car driver goes, and it's that paint scheme on that Pierce car that is the one in question still to this day and will be until Bobby is done arguing about those type of things.
I don't think he'll ever be done arguing about that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, he'll never be done arguing about that type of thing. Look at that, Layne Riggs trying to take out our drone. You see that?
I know, I saw that. Took a shot at it right there.
He did. Wow, boy. Got to give Layne we give him a lot of grief, but he's a good little racer, great family, and going to be fun to try to watch him carve his way through this field. You know, we went to Aileen Ingram's house, and at her and Jack's house. Of course, Aileen is Jack's widow. We were shooting the reveal videos for this race. And one of the coolest pieces of memorabilia that Jack had in that trophy room was back in 1991, his retirement tour in the Busch Series. The Hickory Motor Speedway at the time gave him a plaque with the race poster on it and a piece of Hickory Motor Speedway.
Oh, wow.
And it said to Jack Ingram, "You will always be a piece of Hickory. Here's a piece of Hickory for you."
That is sweet. Really, really neat.
Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. Jack Ingram, of course, Hall of Famer, and recently passed away. Jack Ingram did, but really, really neat that Layne Riggs is honoring him. And throughout the course of this race, hopefully we'll get a chance to bring Winston Kelley in with some of those details and part of the conversation. But the field has now been assembled here on the front stretch and getting ready to go here tonight for 138 laps.
Starting in the 29th spot, in the number 40, Silver Bullet Sterling Marlin throwback for Hawk McCall Motorsports. Give it up for Mr. Tyler Matthews.
Outside of row number 14, the 28th starting spot, making his way from Danville, Virginia, in a throwback to Bobby McCarty. It is the number 22. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Timothy Peters. Inside of the 14th row, driver of car number 41. Ladies and gentlemen, how about it for Jonathan Findley?
Starting in the 26th spot, pulled the car out of line, so he has and will drop to the tail. Out of Aledo, Texas, throwing it back to his crew chief's first super late model car. Let's hear it for a winner earlier this year at Langley, KADEN HONEYCUTT. And a row or two ahead of him, also having pulled the car out of line to make some adjustments. Driver number 6, longtime campaigner in these parts. This is Mike DARNE.
Outside of row number 12, the racer from right here in the Hickory area, representing and honoring his father. It is driver of the number 74 from Claremont. It is LANDON HUFFMAN. Inside row number 12, that Bobby Allison paint scheme that we were just talking about from the win at Bowman Gray Stadium. Here he is, the driver of the number 49, Brandon Pierce.
Moving up to row number 11, driver out of Huntington Beach, California, making his first start in a late model stock with the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. Driver number 21, throwing it back to the Wood Brothers, is Zane Smith. And to his inside, in a number 4. No, it's not a Dodge like the original paint scheme was. That honors Marcus Richmond, the R in R&S race cars from back in 2006. This was the first scheme he crew chiefed on in the NASCAR Truck Series. Driver number 4 tonight out of Georgia. Once again, it's Bubba Pollard.
Now your 20th starter outside of row number 10. The driver out of Bahama, North Carolina. He picked up the win at Ace Speedway earlier this year. This is the throwback of the Jack Ingram number 11 car. It is Layne Riggs. Inside row number 10, a throwback to the Cars movie. It is Toe Mater. How about it for the driver from Abington, Virginia, Chase Dixon, who starts in the 19th spot.
Starting 18th. Out of Virginia, the most recent winner in the Solid Rock Carriers Late Model Stock Tour at Dominion. From Great Falls, Virginia, it's Daniel Silvestri. And to his inside, out of Roxborough, North Carolina, throwing it back to the S in R&S race cars, Steve Stallings, late model from 2000 at South Boston, it's Justin Johnson.
Row number 8, starting in the 16th spot. The driver out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, throwing back to Jeff Jordan's Synergy late model Super Truck from 2001. Here he is, the Junior Motorsports 01 of Connor Jones. And starting in position number 15, he is the driver of car number 5. It is Connor Mosack from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Row number 7, a former winner in the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour a year ago at the Ace Speedway. Out of Statesville, driver number 15 is Ryan Millington. And to his inside, out of Scandia, Minnesota, in the Friends of Jacqueline, David Gilliland Racing and Ford Performance number 17, it is Joe Valento.
Outside of row number 6, the 12th starting spot, the racer from over in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, a former winner here at the Hickory Motor Speedway in the Kyle Petty NWO paint scheme. It is Deke McCaskill. And on the low side of row number 6, driving the Billy Martin paint scheme, that's his team owner. Driver of the number 87, a former winner up in Martinsville in the big super late model race there, Mike Looney.
Starting in the next row up, in the 10th spot. He's a native of these parts, runs here weekly, throwing it back to a Hickory legend, Tommy Houston's late 1980s Busch Series ride. Let's hear it for Mitch Walker. And at position number 9, to a team member's family, David Triplett Sr.'s late model from back in the day, 2-time series champion in the red 07. This is Bobby McCarty.
Row number 4 on the outside, driving a car in tribute to his grandfather, the Beaumont Flyer. His grandfather was Freddie Fryer. Here he is, a former champion in this series from Trinity, North Carolina, Jared Fryer. And on the inside, 7th starting spot, the racer out of Granite Falls, North Carolina, in a throwback to the Jimmy Spindale Dash Series car. There we go. That is Sam Butler from Delhi, Indiana.
Row number 3. On the outside, a paint scheme familiar to many in these parts, ran the NASCAR Busch Series and the late model stock world for quite a while in the late 1980s. Honoring, yep, you guessed it, Wayne Patterson in the Budweiser ride. Out of Rougemont, North Carolina, this is Craig Moore. Starting in position number 5 to his inside, out of the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, honoring his car owner, a former Florence Motor Speedway track champion. He won in this particular scheme, did Robert Elliott. Tonight, his driver runs it, and that is Sam Yarbrough.
Outside row number 2, driver of the car number 7, it is the Ricky Hendrick Throwback paint scheme. Good to have part of that original crew joining us here tonight. They are cheering for the driver of the number 7, Mini Tyrrell. And inside, row number 2, the driver out of Ashland, Ohio. Representing the driver out of Ashland, Ohio. Came here with a livery as well as the mustache, the hat, and the hair. Now the hat and the hair have been transplanted for a helmet. Jonathan SHAFER in the number 25 car.
And on the front row, on the outside, honoring his father, Mike DIAZ, who started racing in legend cars with this exact same paint scheme, hails from Manassas, Virginia. The white number 11 is Mason DIAZ. And on the pole, throwing it back to April when he cleaned their clock at Orange County for $30,000. A NASCAR Xfinity Series winner from Hendersonville, Tennessee, better known as Mr. Hickory. Driver number 8 is Josh Berry. And that is the starting lineup for tonight's Throwback 276, the Honeywell Home Edition, powered by Baker Distributing. Well, traditionally, we would have a guest around to give the command. One of our legends, one of our sponsors, folks, whatever the case might be. But tonight, we have somebody who is being honored, both as a driver and, for that matter, his former crew chief back there towards the tail of the field. Long-time campaigner in the NASCAR Cup Series was Sterling Marlin. Couple of Daytona 500 championships, and certainly made a lot of folks fans of his. Well, Sterling retired a number of years ago, and unfortunately, been battling Parkinson's. He's put up a valiant fight so far, been racing up until the last few years, still owns the car. We wanted so badly for Sterling to be with us, he could not. However, thanks to the power of technology, Sterling Marlin is here to give the command.
Hey everybody, Sterling Marlin here from Columbia, Tennessee. I'll say, gentlemen, start your engines. Hey everybody, Sterling Marlin here from Columbia, Tennessee. I'll say, gentlemen, start your engines.
And Sterling Marlin with the command, and with that, the 29 cars fire to life here tonight at Hickory Motor Speedway. 138 laps is the distance, as we will see who wins this historic race, the Throwback race. Is it a historic paint scheme that ends up in victory lane? Very well could be. Most of the drivers, most of the teams have those historic paint schemes. When we look at late model stock races here at Hickory Motor Speedway, 14 Cars Tour Series races. Josh Berry is a 3-time winner here of racing at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Bobby McCarty is in the field. He is a 2-time winner here, 3-time winner here as well is Bobby McCarty. He picked up the win earlier this season. Deke McCaskill also has a win here in the field at the Hickory Motor Speedway. The last time we were here was in March. It was Deke McCaskill over Tyler Matthews. Sam Butler, it was Bobby McCarty, that is, with a win over Tyler Matthews, Sam Butler, Deke McCaskill, and Daniel Silvestri. So Bobby McCarty looking to sweep the season here. But there's that one driver at the front of the field that will have everyone's attention as we will see what happens with Josh Berry as he leads the field to green here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Josh Berry no matter where you are in the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. Heck, it's hard to bet against Josh Berry in the NASCAR Xfinity Series level. So, he's pretty stout no matter where he happens to be. And starting at the front of the field here is going to make it that much harder to beat Mr. Hickory, Josh Berry, also in pursuit of his second Honeywell Home Throwback 276.
Yes, indeed, but this old racetrack will wear out the best in the business, and we've got the best in the business here, 29 strong. Would not be a shocker if probably 20 of these cars scored the victory. We would not be writing shocking stories because that is how strong this field is. And Josh Berry has to navigate through these cars, through lap traffic, through the competitors, this old worn-out racetrack, missteps, miscues, mechanical errors, a lot can go wrong, so we're just going to have to see how it plays out. That's why we run the races. Now, Josh Berry has certainly done well. Tony talked about that big win at Rougemont worth $30,000. Just last week, he picked up the win in the Hampton Heat Race up at Langley Motor Speedway, and so he certainly has had the high limited late model stock campaign to go along with his Xfinity Series action. While the cars are rolling around the racetrack, let's go down pit side to Winston Kelley.
Well, Steve, you're right. It's hard to bet against Josh Berry, and he probably is the odds-on favorite. But I don't think anybody's ready to give him that trophy or give him that checkered flag. We saw how Bubba Pollard came from the back of the field in the super lates, and what a great job he did. Starting a little bit further back, but I think he's one to watch. Bobby McCarty, who's won this year, I think he's one to watch. He was P1 in practice, didn't have the good qualifying lap. I think he's another one to watch. Lane Riggs coming from a little further back with that throwback to Jack Ingram. I think those are three of the guys that I'm going to watch. Minnie Tyrrell also up front. He's got the car that's representing Ricky Hendrick. But I tell you what, while they're going to be chasing Josh Berry, some of these guys are going to put on a show. And we saw that the low line did work for guys like Chandler Smith, the high line more for Bubba Pollard. I think that's going to be another thing to watch. Who can make which line work and put some pressure on Josh Berry?
Winston Kelley, Executive Director for the NASCAR Hall of Fame, longtime Motor Racing Network reporter, and our pit road reporter and historian tonight for our Cars Tour broadcast here of the Throwback 276.
And those of you watching on social media, if you just stumbled across this, welcome in. We're glad to have you aboard. This is the big one. This is the late model stock feature for the Honeywell Home Throwback 276 by Baker Distributing. We're going to give you a free preview, about 25 laps or so. After that, you got to go to the address on the bottom of your frame, www.carstour.tv, to catch everything here at Hickory. And I will tell you, folks, Steve, you can agree with me, I'm sure, you will not be disappointed.
Not at all. The Cars Tour, the racing this season has been absolutely spectacular. This is race number 8 of the 14 races this year. Justin Johnson picked up the win at Dillon. Bobby McCarty won here at Hickory. Josh Berry won at Orange County. Ace Speedway was Lane Riggs. Justin Johnson went back to the second win at Caraway. Up in Langley, it was KADEN Honeycutt, and over at Old Dominion, it was Daniel Silvestri picking up the win. So it has been a great season of racing, and who is going to add their name or add another tally to the win total, we're going to find out here in just a little bit as the field rolls down and gets the signal. 1 lap to go. Caution lights are out high atop the pace vehicle as the field now settles in for this feature. Mason Diaz on the high side. It has not been a good season for Mason Diaz. He could turn it right around here tonight. Josh Berry, it's been a good season for him. He could continue it on, and we'll see what happens behind the pace car, and that pace car now starts to stretch it out in front of your front row.
He does as they bunch up through turns 3 and 4 to the KRC Power Steering start zone. Josh Berry and Mason Diaz will lead the field to the green flag, and the late model stock portion of the Honeywell Home Throwback 276 is green. Lap number 1, led by Josh Berry. Mason Diaz right underneath that fuel cell. And look on the outside, Steve. There comes the 14 of Craig Moore. That Wayne Patterson ride rolling it good here on the top.
Craig Moore working the high side around Minnie Tyrrell around the outside of the racetrack as they work their way down into turn number 1 and 2. That's the battle for a third spot. Craig Moore not content with that. He's looking to the high side of Mason Diaz. Oh, we got a little contact there. Jared FRYAR gets up. Might have got into the outside fence as they work their way off from turn number 4 as we have got a new race leader at the front of the field. Mason Diaz able to work around Josh Berry.
Yeah, I think Josh Berry at this point, as he tries to squeeze in front of Minnie Tyrrell, I think Josh Berry realizes this pace might be faster than he would like, and look behind him. They are not happy with Jonathan SHAFER after that contact out of turn number 2. We're only on lap number 4, and these guys are already going at it.
Already shaking fingers and fists and everything else at each other. It's a long ways to go here, guys. Right now, Jared FRYAR is working to the low side of the racetrack. Jonathan SHAFER working on the high side as they race back there for the 5th spot. And again, FRYAR pushes SHAFER up the racetrack. Sam Yarborough says, I'll take the low lane as he works to the inside of FRYAR.
Starting to see some damage on the inside of FRYAR's car. That left front fender lasted all of about 2 laps. That pretty wrap job they've got from GXS Wraps, well, they look good, but when you get hit by a race car, they don't stand up too well. Sorry to say, looks like maybe they're going to sort that out as Sam Yarborough continues to campaign on the bottom, trying to get around both of them.
Sam Yarborough, the great racer from down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, carrying Robert Elliott's color. This is a former winner of the Myrtle Beach 400, a former track champion at Florence back in 1995, and that car is looking awful good right now. To the low side of Jared FRYAR, side by side for 5th, for 7th, for 9th, for 11th, for 13th. What a race back in the field here as they all try to mix it up and find some racing room.
Yeah, and it's so hard, too, when you're around these guys, Steve. Think of these drivers. They're used to seeing one color car in front of them, and now it's like, wait, who's in the yellow car again? I've got to race them. Wait, hold on. These drivers are still trying to recall who's in what car to know how to race them and how to expect to be raced. There's a whole lot of things going on that we don't even see right now because of all these special paint schemes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have Freddie FRYAR racing against Tim Richmond, who's racing against Tommy Houston. I'm glad Josh Berry went to the throwback from earlier this year because that's the only car that I recall out there. I'm not worried about the drivers. I'm worried about the announcers here. These paint schemes are absolutely stunning and beautiful. A little confusing, and I'm sure they are confusing to the drivers who are used to racing around each other here at the racetrack right now.
Whoa!
Man, Minnie TYRRELL got into the back bumper there of Craig Moore, and Moore slid up the racetrack. Minnie looks like he's in a hurry down on the low side of turn number 3.
Yeah, he's in a hurry, and Craig Moore says, see ya, okay, go ahead and go by. Remember, Craig Moore 2 years ago led most of this race until Ryan Repko passed him late. That year, he was in Clyde Torkel's Stroker Race Chicken Pit Special.
There you go.
This year, he's got the beer to go with it, so he's got the celebration part done if he can get the job done. But now he's putting up a heck of a fight with Minnie, and that's for the fight for 2nd.
Yeah, they're all chasing Mason Diaz. Diaz has just got to have a smile from ear to ear. As we talked about, this has not been the season that he has wanted. Right now, he is changing things up. It started with a great qualifying run in the 2nd spot. Nobody's ever denied the talent that Mason Diaz has. They just have not been able to put it together thus far tonight. He's doing really well, but as we say that, Craig Moore not content to ride in the 2nd spot, looking for some running room to the high side of the speedway.
Whoa, stack up further back. Chase Dixon, Tyler Matthews, Jonathan Finley, Brandon Pierce, all in the middle of that. And by the way, folks, your eyes do not deceive you. That 22 is not Bobby McCarty, but it looks like his car because it's a throwback to his car that Timothy Peters is actually driving.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, confused yet?
There we have it. Battle at the front of the field. Mason Diaz has that spot. Now I think we've settled into a little bit of pacing of this thing. I agree with you early. I think Josh Berry looked up and said, these boys want to run a little bit harder than I'm willing to do. He's found a spot to sit in the 3rd spot, and right now just sit there behind Minnie TYRRELL, also behind Craig Moore and Mason Diaz as he rides in the 4th spot. And it seems to me like we've hit kind of a rhythm and a pacing of this thing where a lot more drivers are comfortable. Jared FRYAR, he's not comfortable. He's working his way around the high side of Josh Berry.
Yeah, he'd like to get around that 8 car because it's a lot easier to beat Josh Berry when you're already in front of him as opposed to trying to pass him. And the best way to do that is maybe, perhaps, get around him here early in the first handful of laps. It looks like Jared FRYAR, and for that matter, Jonathan SHAFER, trying to do just that. Jared
FRYAR, a former series champion here. Minnie TYRRELL, he said it's time for me to go as well. He jumps to the high side. That freight train on the high side of the racetrack, working their way around the high side. Look at this. Your leader is by himself. Then they're side by side by side all the way back through the top 10, top 12 spots. It's like an old Delaware double file restart on the dirt tracks there. Oh, great racing here. Not a shocker. Great racing at Hickory. That's kind of redundant, and that's what we have here tonight.
And if you're watching on social, folks, we can get swept into this real easy because this is looking up and shaping up to be a barn burner. You've got 4 more laps until we hit the button to take off this free preview. So if you like what you see and you want to see the rest of the Honeywell Home Throwback 276, the address is on the bottom of the frame, www.carstour.tv, as here goes the Ricky Hendrick car driven by Mini Tyrrell for the race lead off turn 4.
Brooks are on the outside of the Mason Diaz car. Diaz is not so fast, able to hang on and maintain that spot. Mini Tyrrell is right there. Boy, they continue to be side by side. We speculated which lane was going to be better, the inside or the outside. The answer is yes. Both lanes are really, really good here tonight. And I'll tell you, Mini Tyrrell is right there working on the high side of Mason Diaz.
You know, and Minnie has not had the best of luck this season. I saw him earlier, and his PR guy, Larry, said, dude, if we can just finish this race and have a good run, we'll be happy. How about this? Mini Tyrrell is the new leader in the Honeywell Home Throwback 276 here on lap number 24. Conveniently enough, a number very special to Hendrick Motorsports.
That's right. Ricky Hendrick, paint scheme on that car. Now Craig Moore looks to the high side of Mason Diaz. Diaz content to ride down on the low side of the speedway. There's Josh Berry and there's Jared FRYAR battling side by side. There's Sam Yarber